Admiral Frank Moore stood at the window of Earth Defense Fleet headquarters looking at the stars. The night sky had always brought him peace. Tonight was different. The stars held a threat. "Admiral, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Roy Baker, rushing into the room with a tablet in his hand. Moore took the device and studied the screen. The readings were clear. Something large was moving toward Earth, and it wasn't an asteroid or any natural object. "How long until it reaches our solar system?" Moore asked. 48 hours, sir. Maybe less." Moore nodded slowly. "Call the president and get Dr. Russell over here." Within 3 hours, the command center was filled with Earth's top military officials and scientists. Dr. Olivia Russell, the best xenolinguist on the planet, stood beside Moore as they watched the large screen, showing the approaching object. "It's slowing down," Russell said. "That means it's controlled. Intelligence purpose." President Catherine Warren entered the room, and everyone stood at attention. "At ease," she said. "Tell me what we're looking at." Moore pointed to the screen. "Madam President, we believe this is a ship, not from Earth." The room fell silent. Humanity had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. "First contact," Warren whispered. "Are we ready for this?" Moore and Russell exchanged glances. No one was ready for this. "We've prepared protocols," Russell said. "I've spent my life studying how we might communicate with alien intelligence. We can do this." The alien ship entered the solar system the next day. It was massive, nearly a mile long, with a sleek design that reminded Moore of ancient sea creatures. It positioned itself just beyond the moon's orbit and went silent. "They're watching us," Moore said. "Learning." Russell and her team worked around the clock, setting up communication systems. They sent simple mathematical sequences, universal constants, anything that might establish a common language. On the third day, the ship responded. "We're receiving a signal," Russell announced, her voice tense with excitement. It's structured, definitely artificial." The message came through as a series of mathematical sequences, then simple images, and finally, to everyone's shock, in perfect English. "How is this possible?" President Warren asked. "They must have been monitoring our broadcasts," Russell explained. "Radio, television, internet. They've had time to learn our languages." The message was brief. "We are the Meridian Empire. We will speak with your leaders." President Warren called an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. Within hours, world leaders gathered in New York, faces grim with the weight of what was happening. "We need to present a united front," Warren said. "This isn't about America or China or Russia anymore. This is about Earth." For once, the world's nations agreed. The Meridians requested a meeting on neutral ground, the International Space Station. NASA quickly prepared a shuttle to transport the Earth delegation. President Warren, Admiral Moore, Dr. Russell, and Ambassador Daniel Harrison, a veteran diplomat known for his calm under pressure. As they approached the space station, they saw the Meridian shuttle already docked. It was smaller than their main ship, but still impressive, with technology clearly beyond Earth's capabilities. "Remember," Harrison told the group, "we represent all of humanity now." The first face-to-face meeting with aliens was nothing like the movies. The Meridian representatives were humanoid, but clearly not human. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Their eyes were large and completely black without visible pupils. Their leader introduced himself as Lord Caxor, Imperial Envoy of the Meridian Empire. "We have observed your world for some time," Caxor said, his voice deep and slightly mechanical through the translator device. "Your civilization has potential." Harrison stepped forward. "We welcome peaceful contact with your people, Lord Caxor. There is much we could learn from each other." Caxor's expression didn't change. "You misunderstand. We are not here to exchange knowledge as equals. The Meridian Empire spans hundreds of worlds across this galaxy. We bring order and advancement to primitive species such as yours." The humans exchanged worried glances. "What exactly are you proposing?" President Warren asked. It is simple. Earth will join the Empire. Your resources will serve the greater good of all Meridian worlds. Your people will be assigned roles based on their abilities. Those who cooperate will find the transition painless. Moore felt his hand move instinctively toward the weapon he wasn't carrying. And if we decline this generous offer? Kaxor turned his black eyes toward the Admiral. No one declines. It would be, unwise. Back on Earth, the leaders shared the Meridian's demands with the Security Council. The room erupted in angry shouts and arguments. They're talking about enslavement, the British Prime Minister said. We have to fight, said the Russian president. We cannot surrender our planet, the Chinese president stood. But how do we fight an enemy with this level of technology? They cross the stars to reach us. What chance do we have? Dr. Russell had been quiet, studying the data from their meeting. There's something interesting here, she said. The Meridians have impressive technology, yes, but they seem to have made some incorrect assumptions about us. What do you mean? Moore asked. They referred to us as a Type 0.7 civilization in their classification system. Based on the data I've gathered, they think we're less advanced than we actually are. They don't know about some of our more recent technological breakthroughs. For the first time, Moore felt a glimmer of hope. President Warren made a decision. We need more information. Ambassador Harrison, I want you to request another meeting. Dr. Russell, find out everything you can about their technology and this empire of theirs. Admiral Moore quietly put our forces on high alert. Harrison and his team returned to the space station the next day. This time, Lord Kaxor showed them recordings of other worlds that had resisted the Empire. The images were horrifying. Planets, reduced to ash, civilizations wiped out. You have 72 hours to inform your people and prepare for integration, Kaxor said. After that, resistance will be met with force. As they returned to Earth, Harrison looked out the shuttle window, at the blue planet below. We've faced extinction before, he said quietly. Asteroids, climate change, nuclear war. We've always found a way to survive. Moore nodded. And we will again. What the Meridians didn't know was that humanity had one advantage they always underestimated. When backed into a corner, humans became incredibly dangerous. Earth was about to prove it. Ambassador Daniel Harrison felt the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders as he prepared for the second meeting with the Meridian Empire. The space shuttle vibrated around him as it climbed through Earth's atmosphere. You look worried, said Dr. Olivia Russell, who sat across from him. I am, Harrison admitted. I'm about to look an alien in the eye and tell him that Earth is considering his offer to surrender. Russell leaned forward. But we're not really considering it. They don't need to know that yet. Admiral Moore joined their conversation. The President has authorized Plan Delta. While you keep the Meridians talking, we'll be gathering intelligence. Plan Delta was risky. Commander Lisa Peterson and her Special Forces team would attempt to infiltrate the Meridian mothership during the diplomatic meeting. If they were caught, it would give the aliens all the excuse they needed to attack immediately. The shuttle docked with the International Space Station where the meeting would take place. Lord Kaxor was waiting for them, along with 2 other Meridians. Ambassador Harrison, Kaxor said, his voice flat. Have you brought Earth's answer? Harrison nodded respectfully. We need more information before making such an important decision. Our leaders have questions about life under Meridian rule. Kaxor seemed pleased by this. A wise approach. Come, I will show you the glory of the Empire. While Harrison kept the Meridians occupied with questions, another shuttle quietly approached, the mothership. Inside, Commander Peterson and her team of 6 wore special suits designed to mask their heat signatures. Remember, Peterson told her team, this is reconnaissance only. We get in, gather data, and get out. No engagement unless absolutely necessary. They used a small device Dr. Russell had created based on the Meridian shuttle's docking mechanism. It created a temporary seal against the hull of the mothership, allowing them to cut through without triggering decompression alarms. Back at the space station, Kaxor was showing Harrison and Russell images of planets that had joined the Empire. These worlds were like yours once, Caxor explained. Now they are productive members of our society. The images showed alien cities with advanced technology, but Harrison noticed something disturbing. The original inhabitants were always in servant positions working under Meridian supervision. What happens to the governments of these worlds? Harrison asked. They are replaced with Meridian governors, Caxor said simply. Your leaders will be allowed advisory positions if they cooperate. Russell studied the alien's face. And those who don't cooperate are removed, Caxor said without emotion. It is more efficient this way. Inside the mothership, Peterson's team moved silently through narrow corridors. The ship's interior was strange, organic curves mixed with metallic surfaces. They placed small recording devices at key locations. Their technology is advanced, whispered Sergeant Paul Grant, examining a control panel, but not as far beyond ours as they want us to believe. Peterson nodded. Look at this. She pointed to what appeared to be a weapon system. This is similar to our laser defense projects, just more refined. As they continued deeper into the ship, they found a large room with screens showing data about Earth. The Meridians had been studying humans for longer than anyone had realized. Peterson took images of everything with her specialized camera. Then she noticed something odd about the Meridian assessment of Earth's military capabilities. They've underestimated us, she said quietly. According to this, they think our most advanced weapons are significantly less powerful than they actually are. They don't know about the Quantum Shield project or the new fusion missiles. Grant smiled for the first time since the mission began. So they're coming to a gunfight thinking we only have knives. Exactly. And that might be our only advantage. At the space station, Harrison was asking about other species who had resisted the Empire. Caxor brought up a new image. A once beautiful world now scarred with massive impact craters and blackened continents. The Axari were a proud species, Caxor said. They refused integration. They fought bravely, but as you can see, resistance is ultimately futile. Their civilization is now extinct. Harrison kept his face neutral despite the horror he felt. How many worlds have refused and faced this outcome? In the history of the Empire, 17 species have chosen extinction over integration, Caxor said. None have successfully resisted. None ever will. On Earth, President Warren met with the Joint Chiefs of Staff and world military leaders in a secure underground facility. The clock is ticking, she told them. In 50 hours, the Meridians will expect our surrender. General Samuel Wright stood up. He was a weathered man with 40 years of military service. Madam President, if we surrender, we'll never be free again. We fight now or we live as slaves forever. The Chinese General Lin nodded in agreement. Better to die on our feet than live on our knees. But can we win? Asked the French commander. President. Warren looked at the latest intelligence reports. Our best chance is to appear to surrender while positioning our forces for a coordinated attack. If we can strike simultaneously from multiple locations, we might overwhelm them before they realize what's happening. The military leaders debated tactics while technicians worked frantically to upgrade Earth's defensive systems based on the limited data they had on Meridian technology. Peterson's team had almost completed their mission when an alarm suddenly blared through the mothership. We've been detected, Peterson said. Move to extraction point now. As they ran through the corridors, 2 Meridian guards appeared ahead of them. Grant fired his weapon, a new prototype designed to disrupt electrical systems. The guards' armor sparked and they fell to the ground. Don't kill them, Peterson ordered. We don't want to give them more reasons to attack. They reached their entry point just as more guards appeared behind them. Peterson was the last one through the hole they'd cut in the hull. A guard fired and she felt burning pain in her shoulder before the temporary airlock sealed behind her. Back. At the space station, Caxor received an alert on his communication device. It seems your people are not as peaceful as you claim, Ambassador, he said coldly. We have detected intruders on our vessel. Harrison kept his expression neutral. I know nothing about any intruders. Your deception changes nothing, Caxori, I said. You now have 48 hours to surrender, not 72. Do not test our patience further. As Harrison's shuttle returned to Earth, he received word that Peterson's team had made it back safely, though Peterson herself was injured. Was it worth it? Harrison asked when he visited her in the medical bay. Peterson handed him a data drive. Absolutely. They're strong, but they're not invincible, and they've made a critical mistake. What's that? They think they know us, Peterson said with a grim smile, but they have no idea what humans are capable of when fighting for survival. Harrison took the drive to President Warren immediately. Earth had less than 2 days to prepare for the fight of its life. The plan was desperate, but it was their only hope. They would appear to surrender, and then show the Meridian Empire why they should have never threatened Earth. President Warren stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Every seat was filled. The world watched through screens as she prepared to announce Earth's response to the Meridian Empire. After careful consideration, she said, her voice steady, Earth has decided to accept the terms offered by the Meridian Empire. Murmurs filled the room. Even though the world leaders knew this was part of the plan, hearing the words still felt like defeat. We will begin preparations for integration immediately, Warren continued. We ask only for the full 48 hours to prepare our people for this historic transition. The message was transmitted to the Meridian mothership. Lord Caxor's reply came quickly. A wise decision. Prepare your landing areas for our ships. We will begin the integration process when your deadline expires. As soon as the communication ended, Warren nodded to Admiral Moore. Now we move to Phase 2. Around the world, a different kind of preparation began. Military forces appeared, to stand down but secretly moved into hidden positions. Civilian evacuations from major cities were disguised as welcoming preparations. In a secret facility deep underground, engineer Alan Cooper worked with a team of scientists from around the world. They had been developing a new weapon system based on the data from Commander Peterson's mission. The Meridians use a different type of shield technology than we expected, Cooper explained to Admiral Moore during his inspection. Their shields are strong against energy weapons, but they have a weakness we can exploit. Cooper pointed to a complicated diagram. Their systems can't handle rapid fluctuations in certain electromagnetic frequencies. Hit them with this. He held up a small device, and their shields will collapse for approximately 20 seconds. Moore studied the device. Can we produce enough of these in time? We've already started. Every military installation will have them by tomorrow. Dr. Russell and her team had their own critical task. After studying the communications intercepted from the Meridian ship, they had managed to crack the Empire's codes. Their communication system is actually less secure than ours in some ways, Russell told President Warren. They've never needed strong encryption because no species has ever been able to challenge them technologically. Their arrogance will be their downfall, Warren said. Can you disrupt their communications when the time comes? Russell nodded. We can do better than that. We can send false orders to their fleet. Meanwhile, Ambassador Harrison continued to meet with Lord Caxor, keeping the Meridians focused on the details of Earth's surrender. Each meeting provided more intelligence about the Empire's plans. The first wave will include 30 ships, Harrison reported back. They'll land in major cities across the planet. Their primary goal seems to be securing our military installations and government centers. Commander Peterson, her shoulder still healing, worked with General Wright to position Earth's forces. They had to be hidden from the Meridian's scans, but close enough to strike when the moment came. We'll have one chance, Peterson said as they reviewed the global defense plan. If this fails, there won't be a second attempt. The Meridians detected unusual movement on Earth, but dismissed it when Harrison explained it was part of the preparation for their arrival. Your people seem eager to welcome us, Caxor said during their final meeting. We're known for our hospitality, Harrison replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. 24 hours before the deadline, a small team led by Peterson secretly boarded the Meridian command ship again. This time, their mission wasn't just reconnaissance. They carried several of Cooper's devices and planted them at key locations throughout the ship. If we're discovered this time, the whole plan falls apart. Peterson whispered as they worked quickly in the dim corridors. Sergeant Grant kept watch at a junction. Let's make sure we're not discovered then. They completed their mission without raising any alarms and returned to Earth with just hours to spare. As the deadline approached, President Warren addressed the world one last time. Today we appear to surrender. Tomorrow we show the Meridian Empire that humanity will never be conquered. The Meridian fleet began to move exactly on schedule. 30 ships, each carrying hundreds of soldiers, approached Earth in a perfect formation. Lord Caxor commanded from the mothership, watching with satisfaction as his subordinates prepared to claim another world for the Empire. These humans were wiser than most species, he commented to his second-in-command. They recognized the futility of resistance. The first ships entered Earth's atmosphere, heading for their designated landing sites. The Meridian soldiers within prepared their equipment for the ground phase of the integration. On the ground, millions of humans watched the sky. They knew what was coming, not surrender, but the greatest coordinated military action in human history. In the secret command center, President Warren stood with Admiral Moore, General Wright, and Dr. Russell. They watched as the Meridian ships approached their targets. "Are we ready?" Warren asked quietly. Moore nodded. "All forces in position. Cooper's devices are deployed. Russell's team is standing by to disrupt their communications." "And the Valiant?" Warren asked, referring to Earth's newest and most powerful spacecraft, which had been kept hidden from the Meridians. "Ready to launch on your command," Moore replied. Warren took a deep breath and looked at the countdown clock. When it reached 0, Earth would reveal its deception. "Send the signal," she ordered. Throughout the planet, hidden transmitters activated Cooper's devices. On every Meridian ship, alarms suddenly blared as their shields fluctuated and failed. At the same moment, Russell's team flooded the Meridian communication systems with conflicting orders and false alerts. On the mothership, Lord Caxor watched, in confusion as his display filled with emergency signals. "What is happening?" he demanded. "We're losing contact with the advanced ships," his officer reported, "and our shields are failing." Caxor's confusion turned to rage as he realized the truth. The humans deceived us. They never intended to surrender. From hidden bases around the planet, Earth's military forces emerged. Fighter jets screamed into the sky. Anti-aircraft systems locked onto the vulnerable Meridian ships. And from a secret hangar in the Arctic, the Valiant rose for the first time. Earth's first true warship, built with technology the Meridians didn't know humans possessed. "Admiral." Moore's voice echoed across all Earth's military channels. "All units commence Operation Defiance. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The battle for humanity's freedom had begun. The sky above Earth erupted in light as the battle began. Meridian ships, caught with their shields down, faced the full force of humanity's fury. Admiral Moore commanded the space battle from the bridge of the Valiant. The ship moved faster than anything the Meridians had encountered before, darting between enemy vessels and delivering precise strikes. "Target their propulsion systems," Moore ordered. "Don't give them a chance to regroup." The Valiant's weapons, based partly on reverse-engineered alien technology from crashed scout ships years earlier, cut through the disabled Meridian shields with ease. On the ground, General Wright coordinated the global defense forces. When Meridian landing craft managed to reach Earth's surface, they found themselves surrounded by waiting troops. "Hold the line," Wright shouted as he led soldiers against a group of Meridian warriors who had landed near Washington, D.C. The aliens were tall and strong, but Earth's forces had the advantage of preparation and knowledge of the terrain. In the command center, President Warren watched the battle unfold on multiple screens. The first phase of their plan had worked perfectly. The surprise attack had thrown the Meridians into chaos. But she knew it wouldn't last long. "They're calling for reinforcements," Dr. Russell reported, listening to the intercepted communications. "3 larger ships are moving in from the outer solar system." Warren nodded grimly. They had expected this. "Activate Phase 2. Throughout the solar system, hidden satellites suddenly powered up. Earth had been secretly building a defense network for years, preparing for the day when humanity would face a threat from the stars. The satellites locked onto the approaching Meridian reinforcements. Lord Caxor raged on the bridge of his command ship. How is this possible? Their technology shouldn't be this advanced. His officers had no answers. Everything they thought they knew about humans had been wrong. The creatures were not just aggressive, they were clever, deceptive, and far more technologically capable than the Empire had believed. "Launch all fighters," Caxor ordered. "Burn their cities to the ground, show them the cost of defiance." But as his fighters deployed, they faced another surprise. Cooper's technology didn't just affect shields, it disrupted the Meridian's targeting systems as well. Their weapons fired wildly, often missing Earth's smaller and more maneuverable craft. In orbit, the Valiant led a fleet of Earth's best spacecraft against the Meridian ships. Moore watched as his pilots executed maneuvers that the Meridians couldn't predict or counter. "They fight as if they have nothing to lose," one Meridian commander transmitted to Caxor. "Because they don't," Caxor replied. "This is their homeworld." For the first time in his long career conquering primitive species, Caxor felt something new: doubt. On the surface, the battles were intense but going in humanity's favor. The Meridian ground troops had expected to face minimal resistance. Instead, they were met with coordinated attacks from well-prepared human forces using weapons designed specifically to combat Meridian armor and technology. Commander Peterson led a special forces team against a group of Meridians who had established a position in London. "They're trying to set up a communication relay," she told her team. "If they manage to contact their main fleet beyond our jamming range, we'll have a much bigger problem." Peterson's team moved through the streets, using their knowledge of the city to outflank the aliens. When they reached the Meridian position, they deployed Cooper's devices to disrupt the aliens' equipment before attacking. The fighting was fierce. 2 of Peterson's team fell to Meridian weapons, but in the end, the humans destroyed the relay before it could be activated. In the air, Earth's fighter pilots engaged Meridian craft above every major city. The sky was filled with streaks of light as weapons fired and aircraft maneuvered in deadly combat. Pilot Susan Jordan flew her fighter directly at a Meridian ship 3 times the size of her craft. "This is for Earth," she said as she fired her experimental missiles. The weapons hit exactly where Cooper had said they would be most effective, at the junction between the ship's main body and its propulsion system. The Meridian craft exploded in a ball of blue flame. From his command post on the Valiant, Admiral Moore watched the battle with growing hope. They were winning, not easily, but decisively. The Meridians had never faced a species that could fight back effectively, and it showed in their tactics. "Admiral," his communications officer called. "The Meridian flagship is changing position. They're attempting some kind of maneuver." Moore studied the tactical display. Caxor's ship was pulling away from Earth, but not retreating. It was repositioning for something. What are they doing? Moore wondered aloud. The answer came minutes later when the Meridian flagship began to glow with energy. They were charging their main weapon, a planet killer that could devastate large portions of Earth's surface. "All ships, focus fire on the EO flagship," Moore ordered. "Don't let them complete that charge." Earth's vessels converged on the Meridian command ship, but its shields had been reinforced, pulling power from other systems. The human weapons couldn't penetrate in time. In the command center, President Warren received the urgent message from Moore. "They're preparing to fire a high-powered energy weapon," he reported. "We can't stop the charge. Impact in 6 minutes. Estimated damage radius 800 miles. Warren looked at her advisors. They had known this might happen, that the Meridians might resort to their most terrible weapons if pushed too far. "Can we evacuate the target area?" she asked. "Not. In 6 minutes," General Wright replied from his position on the ground. "Millions will die." Warren closed her eyes briefly. Then she made the hardest decision of her life. "Activate the Omega Protocol," she ordered. Deep beneath the ocean, Earth's most secret weapon waited. Developed after studying fragments of alien technology from a crashed scout ship decades ago, the Omega device had never been tested. Its power was theoretical but potentially devastating. When activated, It created a localized disruption in space-time, a bubble where energy couldn't flow. Normally, if it worked, it would neutralize the Meridian weapon. If it failed, as Caxor's flagship reached full charge and prepared to fire, the Omega device activated. A strange ripple spread through space around the Meridian command ship. The aliens fired their weapon and it backfired catastrophically. The energy had nowhere to go but back into the ship itself. The massive vessel cracked apart from within, secondary explosions rippling along its length. Lord Caxor watched in disbelief as his bridge disintegrated around him. His last thought before the explosion reached him was that the Empire had made a terrible mistake in challenging these humans. The destruction of the flagship marked the turning point of the battle. Seeing their commander's ship destroyed, many Meridian captains chose to retreat rather than continue fighting. Those who stayed were quickly overwhelmed by Earth's forces. As the day ended, Admiral Moore looked out from the Valiant at the damaged, but victorious planet below. For the first time in its long history, the Meridian Empire had been defeated, and humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy. Smoke rose from cities around the world as the sun rose the day after the battle. The remaining Meridian ships had pulled back to the edge of the solar system. They gathered there, damaged and uncertain, waiting for orders that would never come from their destroyed flagship. On Earth, people emerged from shelters to see the results of the fighting. There was destruction. Buildings damaged, fires burning, evidence of the alien weapons. But Earth still stood, and humanity had survived its first interstellar war. In the command center, President Warren met with her advisors to assess the situation. "What are our losses?" she asked. General Wright looked grim as he reported. "We lost approximately 20,000 military personnel worldwide. Civilian casualties are estimated at 50,000, mostly in areas where the Meridians managed to land ground forces." The room was silent. Each death was a tragedy, but everyone knew the toll could have been much worse if the Meridians had been able to use their planet killer. "And the enemy?" Warren asked. Admiral Moore checked his data. 23 of their 30 ships destroyed, 4 badly damaged and drifting. The remaining 3 have retreated to the edge of the solar system but appear to be functional. "What do you think they'll do now?" Warren looked at Dr. Russell. Russell had been studying the intercepted Meridian communications. "They're confused. This has never happened to them before. They're waiting for instructions from their central command, but that will take time given the distances involved. Then we have a window of opportunity," Warren said. "Admiral Moore, is the Valiant ready for another mission?" Moore nodded. "Yes, Madam President. What do you have in mind?" "I want to send a message." 2 hours later, Ambassador Harrison stood on the bridge of the Valiant as it approached the remaining Meridian vessels. His mission was both simple and incredibly important: to make sure the Meridian Empire understood exactly what had happened here. The Valiant was escorted by 20 fighter craft, all showing battle damage but still combat-ready. Moore wanted the Meridians to see that Earth could still fight if necessary. "Open a channel to the lead Meridian ship," Harrison told the communications officer. On the main screen, the face of a Meridian officer appeared. He looked similar to Lord Caxor, but with lighter blue skin and a scar across one side of his face. "I am Sub-Commander Vec of the Meridian Empire," the alien said. "Who speaks for Earth?" "I am Ambassador Daniel Harrison. I have come to discuss terms." Vec's black eyes narrowed. "Terms? You destroyed our fleet. You killed Lord Caxor, the Emperor's chosen representative. After you threatened to destroy our world," Harrison replied calmly, "you came to our home and demanded our surrender. What did you expect us to do?" The Meridian was silent for a moment. "What terms do you offer?" "Simple ones. You will leave our solar system immediately. You will take with you the knowledge that Earth is not a world to be conquered." Vec seemed surprised by the simplicity of the demand. "And if we refuse?" Admiral Moore stepped into view beside Harrison. "Then we finish what we started. Your remaining ships are damaged. Ours are not. The choice is yours." The Meridian officer considered this. Even if we leave, the Empire will send more ships. Many more. This is not over. Harrison nodded. We know. That's why I've brought something to show you. He signaled to Dr. Russell, who transmitted a data package to the Meridian ship. It contained Earth's observations of the Meridian Empire, observations that had been made years before the Meridians ever approached Earth. We've known about your empire for decades, Harrison explained as Vec reviewed the data with visible shock. We've watched how you conquer species. We studied your technology from scout ships that crashed on our world. Vec looked up from the data. Impossible. We sent no scouts to this sector until 5 years ago. Not intentionally, perhaps, but they came all the same, and they helped us prepare. Moore added, everything that happened here was planned. We let you believe we were less advanced than we are. We let you think your conquest would be easy. Harrison leaned forward. Take this message back to your emperor. Earth knows about the Meridian Empire. Earth was ready for you, and Earth will always be ready. Back on Earth, President Warren watched the exchange from the command center. When Harrison finished speaking, she gave a signal to activate a special transmission. On every Meridian ship, screens lit up with the same message, broadcast in the Empire's own language. Run now. The simplicity and boldness of it was shocking. To the Meridians, who were used to defeated species begging for mercy, not issuing warnings. Sub-Commander Vec stared at Harrison for a long moment. Then he gave a slight nod, almost a gesture of respect. I will deliver your message, he said. But know this, humans. The Empire has existed for 10,000 years. It has never failed to conquer a world it targeted. Your victory today may not be repeated tomorrow. We'll take our chances, Harrison replied. Now go. You have 6 hours to leave our solar system. The transmission ended. Harrison turned to Moore. Do you think they'll leave? He asked. Moore watched the Meridian ships on the tactical display. Yes, they have no choice right now, but Vec is right. They'll be back. And we'll be waiting, Harrison said. The Meridian ships began to move, accelerating away from Earth. Humanity had won its first interstellar battle, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. 3 days later, when Earth had confirmed the Meridian ships had truly left the solar system, President Warren addressed the United Nations again. Today marks a new chapter in human history, she said. We have faced an alien threat and survived. But more importantly, we did it together, not as separate nations, but as one people, as humans. She paused, looking at the faces of world leaders who, just days ago, had been rivals and sometimes enemies. The Meridian Empire will return. They may come back with a larger fleet, with different weapons, with new tactics, but they will find the same thing waiting for them, a united Earth that will never surrender its freedom. In the far reaches of the galaxy, aboard the massive space station that served as the capital of the Meridian Empire, the Emperor received Vec's report and the message from Earth. For the first time in living memory, the Emperor felt something unfamiliar, fear, not of the humans themselves, but of what they represented. A species that could resist the Empire might inspire others to do the same. He summoned his war council. The Empire would need to respond to this challenge. Earth could not be allowed to stand as an example of successful resistance. But as the Emperor planned his response, he couldn't shake the memory of the human's message, so different from the pleas and negotiations he was accustomed to from conquered species. Just 2 simple words that somehow contained both a warning and a promise. Run now. On Earth, Admiral Moore and Dr. Russell stood on the roof of the Defense Fleet headquarters, looking up at the night sky. Do you think they understand what they've awakened? Russell asked. Moore shook his head. No. They've spent thousands of years as conquerors. They don't know what it means to fight for your home, for your very existence. They'll learn, Russell said. Moore nodded, his eyes fixed on the stars that no longer seemed peaceful. Yes, they will, and so will we. The first war with the Meridian Empire was over. The next one was just beginning.